Hello everybody, welcome back. I want to talk about becoming a survivor. If you are listening to this, you have survived it, but you might have come out not as a survivor. You could have come out with some victim mentality because obviously you were a victim too. And part of, I think, healing from abuse is to transfer from being a victim of the abuse to becoming a survivor. And I want to talk about ways to do this. So the first thing is you need to realise you've survived. You're still here, you didn't kill yourself, you didn't drug overdose, you didn't crawl up in the corner and just go, you're still here. And if you're listening to this, you're probably in your adulthood, therefore you've managed to find ways to survive and live with it. However, to become a real survivor, you have to conquer and get rid of all those feelings that you have. So you need to do a lot of work on yourself to survive from the abuse because there would have been so much damage. The more abuse, the more damage. It doesn't matter which sort of abuse you've had, if you've got physical, sexual, emotional, mental, psychological abuse. Any of these abuses, it doesn't matter. It's the emotions that go with it. And the way to become a survivor is to release those emotions and those old things that are playing in your head that you're not good enough and because you've been used and you're powerless, all those old tapes in your mind. It's very good to do some work at releasing the emotions first, and you'll know what they are. They're probably fear and anxiety. You would have terror in there if it was very bad, particularly if you've gone through physical and or any sort of torture, because abusers like to torture people. And then you need to look at more of them, like the sadness and the depression from it. There will also be disappointment, and you'll have angry feelings, hateful feelings. You'll be being frustrated because you're not like other people and you can't do what they can do. You might have a lot of hate in there for your abuser and bitterness. These are all the emotions that are caught up in your aura that actually tie you to the abuse because you weren't a hateful person when it happened, but after it happened, you probably became a person who hates that person who did it to you. And you weren't maybe a frightened person before it happened, but after the abuse, you had a lot of fear in your body when it was happening to you, when it was going to happen to you again, especially if there was repeat abuse. And therefore, it builds up in the body and the terror. There's also such a sadness because you have lost. So if you're in your childhood or adolescence it happened to you, you lost that innocence, you lost the purity of that. If you were in a relationship as an adult, you also lost the hopes and dreams of that relationship. When you first went in there, you didn't go in because they were abusive, you went in because you loved them and you thought they were a great person, and then you landed up with this other person. I use lots of techniques to get rid of my emotions because they tie me to the abuse, and I've done lots of work on letting go of the fear ones and then the anger ones and then the sad ones, sadness ones. Use whatever you can. Free writing is good. You can go to counselling. You can go and have some healing work done with a body worker. You can go to somebody who does emotional freedom tapping. That's very powerful, or you can learn it yourself. There's lots of things you can do to get rid of it. You can go to hypnosis if you want to, or learn how to do self-hypnosis, and you can also do rebirthing or breath work, as they call it. Look at these modalities to get rid of the emotion, because the emotion ties you to being a victim to the abuse. Because while you have that emotion in you, you still are a victim to it in a sense, because you're carrying it around. With the thoughts, you might need to change your affirmations about yourself. Start to love your body more, not getting that feeling. You'll know, because if you've been abused, especially sexually or physically, your body will always feel dirty, and that's from the abuse. And you'll know when you're getting better because you'll stop having that feeling, and you'll also stop being horrible to your body and disliking your body and saying bad things about it all the time. And that's what I want you to change as well. I want you to say things like, I'm a powerful person, I'm a healthy person, I am strong because I've survived this, I've learnt my lessons over life and I'm still here. Those things, those positive things, my life will get better. I'm going to heal from this. I'm not going to give the power over to the abuser by letting them wreck the rest of my life because of the damage. And you can probably go to people who specialise in abuse and get some other helpful tips, and also someone to speak to and talk to about it. I've written letters as well, that I didn't post, of course, to the people who abused me, to get it out, to vent it and get it out. because that's the main thing. You want to release it and let it go. And the more you release, the more you'll come back to who you were before the abuse. We didn't ask for it. It just happened. But we have to deal with it, and that's the trouble. And it's really annoying that they messed you up, and now you spend the rest of your life trying to clean up the mess. I find that kind of annoying. But I'm prepared to do it because I want to survive it, and I don't want to give power to anyone who has abused me, and I've had a few of those. Returning to become a survivor means you need to do this work. Listen to yourself as well. Stop whinging and complaining and whining. Victims tend to whine a lot. If people give you a solution to something, instead of going, oh no, it won't work, you go, I'll go and have a look at that and have a think about it and see if I can use it as a modality or some way in my life to help me. People often see what we need better than we see what we need. So stop making walls and stops for doing that. Also, start to try and trust your antenna. If you get a good feeling about somebody, trust it until it is shown to not be right. Remember, some people come in like a chameleon. They come in looking one colour, but once you get to know them, there's somebody else under there. There are many wonderful, good, caring, loving people, and you can find them. You don't have to stay away from the whole human race because you've been abused, because within the human race there will be this lovely group of people, and I want you to be open to that. And also part of being a survivor is being open to new relationships, not hiding because of what happened to you. There is a certain amount of shame and humiliation and sort of a guilt from the abuser. That's what you pick up. You pick up their guilt actually and wear it as your own. And it's a humiliating thing, abuse, to be at the end of it. But you can let go of that as well. You're a good person. It wasn't your fault. It was something they chose to do. You coped with it as best as you could at the time and then afterwards, but now you want to survive it. And I feel having a survivor attitude is very powerful when you start going, I'm going to survive this, I'm going to fix myself up, and I'm going to make myself the best person I can be. This will actually help you also from stopping being an abuser, because people who have been abused often become abusive. That's their way of almost unloading it. But then you've got someone else on the other end. So if you've become abusive, you need to stop that. It's very, very important that you don't abuse other people, because that keeps you back there and it keeps the pattern of abuse going. Particularly if it's a family thing, you'll keep it in the family. I wish you luck with this. I think you can do it. I've done it. I'll keep working on myself, don't worry. And during the time when you're releasing and trying to let go of the emotions, you'll find that you'll come maybe even to a time, which I've come to, where you'll be able to forgive them. I've forgiven mine. I said that to him in my head. One's dead. Well, actually two are dead now, but I've probably forgiven them, one before they died and one like after they died. You can do the forgiveness thing too. I just say, I forgive you for what you did. It was bad and it was wrong, but I forgive you. And that will release you from them, because it's like a bond. It sounds weird, but abuse sets up a bond between the abuser and the abused. So you want to break that bond by forgiving them and letting them go. I'm wishing you well with this. I'm really sorry you're listening to this podcast, because if you are, there's a reason for it, and we both know what that is. But we got to survive this, and we got to get strong and get on with our lives. And that's the way you heal from abuse, is to survive it and get better. So keep working on getting better. You look after yourself, you look after your body, you look after your health, you be your best parent, you look after other people, you keep away from people who are negative and abusive, you just keep away from them as much as possible, and you strive to be a complete and whole person. Remember, we're healing that part of you that's abused. That's not all of you, that's just like a part of you, and that's the part we want to heal, so you can become whole again. I hope you've got something from this podcast, and I hope you can heal the victim in you. Sending you lots of love and lots of light.